Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here coming at you with another trail tip for you preppers out there. And I want to talk a little bit about gold. What prompted this was a trip the other day with a friend of mine to a gun show. And we've been going to gun shows for years. And he's like me. He always shows up with a fistful of $100 bills because, well, you never know what you're going to find at a gun show. And sometimes it's a good deal and you just can't pass it up. Cash is king. But he always stops by a particular vendor, and this vendor is at all the gun shows that we frequent, and there's one thing that he buys, and it's not ammunition, it's not reloading supplies like brass or powder or anything like that. In fact, it really doesn't have anything to do directly with guns, and what he buys is gold. Now, when I first saw him do this, I thought he was investing in gold. He was hoping to buy it and then just sit on it and let the price go up, and then he sells it. So I asked him about it, and he says he's prepping. And I didn't know he was a prepper at the time. And here's the reason why I didn't know. This is how he was prepping. He wasn't buying anything else. I asked him, I says, what else are you doing besides buying gold? He says, nothing. He just expected that during the zombie apocalypse or, the economic downturn of the country, he'll just go out and buy what he needs. So there's a problem with that. Let me put it to you this way. A prepper will usually have food, water, ammunition, medical supplies, a host of other things. Now, let's say that things have gotten so bad that this is about as useful as this. Our money's no good. Is gold going to become the coin of the realm? Depends on the situation. If it's a transient emergency or a disaster like Hurricane Katrina or Sandy, where a small portion of the population is affected and you have the support of the rest of the country to come to your aid, you probably don't even need gold. Cash will probably still be king. But in a long-term extracted downturn, whatever it may be, whether it's an economic collapse or simply civil upheaval, natural disaster of such huge proportion that things are really bad and you need to get into your supplies, he thinks he's just going to go out and use this money to buy whatever he needs. And I tried to explain to him, I says, well, here's the problem. I have my food. And there isn't too many people in our society that will have food, period, let alone enough extra that they're willing to trade. Because when the supply lines stop and the store shelves are empty, there is no more delivery to your door by UPS or FedEx or the post office. There's no more internet where you have to buy whatever you need locally. You're going to be in a world of hurt trying to buy things. Now, what I'm going to say here is strictly my opinion. The worse things get and the longer they stay bad, the less this will be worth. And it'll eventually get to the point where this will have less value than this. And here's why. There's very few people in our society who are truly preppers that have what this represents here. We have food, we have water, we have guns and ammo, we have a way to treat our illnesses and our injuries. And there's only so much of this. There's only going to be so much. Once things get so bad, this stuff will start to disappear. There will be no more new of this. Yes, you might be able to reload. Yes, you can collect rainwater and filter out groundwater. Medicines, some of the specialty medicines are eventually going to disappear. And what are you going to do with this? So let's put it this way. This represents all my supplies, and this represents my friend with all of his gold. And he doesn't have any food. All he has is gold. So he comes to me and says, do you have any extra food? Sure, I got this. Would you take this for it? Now, First off, you're going to have to find somebody who has food, which is right now today a very small segment of this populace right now. But to find somebody with an excess of food, and to find somebody who's willing to accept gold. Now, if I sit there and say, well, why do I want to give you some of my food? I prepared for me. I didn't prepare for everybody else. Now, true, there are some preppers that have extras of some things to use as barter. There's talk of using cigarettes and booze and ammunition, stockpile more than you'll ever need and use it for barter. True. Would you be willing to accept gold? Okay, if I don't want to sell my food for gold, I have just devalued gold. Not by very much. In fact, one person out of everybody that's affected by whatever disaster we're talking about is not going to devalue gold. But let's take this one step further. Let's say he goes to the next person who is willing to accept gold for their food. So you take your food home, this person has their gold, and everybody's happy. But on your way home, somebody else comes along and says, hey, you want to trade that food for some gold? What are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them to pound sand, aren't you? You just devalued gold. Now, the scarcer this stuff becomes and the harder it is to find, the more this is going to turn into this. Because I can't take gold and treat my illnesses, my ailments, my injuries. Gold will not help me collect, store, purify water. I can't put gold into a gun and use it for self-defense or hunting. And I certainly am not going to be able to eat my gold. So the upthrust of this is, I'm not saying don't get gold. Gold will have some value, but for long-term prepping, when things get really bad for a long, long time, don't get gold. Because the longer the disaster goes, the less this will be worth, and the more these things will become valuable. So instead of trading your gold for food, if all you're going to do is prep with gold with the expectation of trading, one of these days you're going to have to take some of your gold, and learn how to eat it. So this is Backpack Hack coming at you with this trail tip. Be safe out there, and I'll see you out on the trail. That's not bad chocolate.